He looked at me and the kids and my mother-in-law, and he was like, sorry, I'm not going to make it. I love y'all.
He died a hero, and that will never gone unnoticed.
Well, after months of teasing the release of new information about the accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein and his alleged client list, the Justice Department, well, they're now saying that no evidence or such a list actually existed, or that Epstein was murdered. The DOJ saying it does not plan to release any new documents on the matter, and writing today in a memo, quote, there was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. Joining me now is CNN senior justice correspondent Evan Perez and CNN legal analyst Elliot Williams. Evan, you've reported on this for, I think, years on some level now.
Right.
Tell us how this memo kind of came to be, how this case became such a fixation.
Well, the case became a fixation in part because the Attorney General and other people around President Trump have fanned the flames of this conspiracy, that there was some bombshell hidden in these Epstein documents. And everyone has known, certainly a lot of the documents that the Justice Department has been looking at, they've been out in public already for years, because you remember some of his co-defendants went on trial after his 2019 suicide. So this is no surprise to anyone who's been paying attention, but for people inside the Justice Department who certainly encourage this kind of belief out there, they're now having to admit that there's really no there. And you see in the memo, it says the systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. There was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions, or that he was murdered. Again, all of these things were known. It's just that there was a certain part of the internet, and certainly on Twitter, a lot of MAGA believers who believed that there was something here that was being hidden.
Yeah, and look, the White House, I think on some level, was active participants at some elements of those corners of the internet. What did the White House say about this case earlier today?
Well, today they had to react to the fact that just a couple of months ago, the Attorney General on Fox News seemed to indicate that there was a client list sitting on her desk. And now what they're saying, what she's referring to is just that she was looking at the larger number of documents that were out there. And again, they held an event at the White House where they brought in all the MAGA influencers to look at these binders, which ended up being documents that had been on the internet and had been available publicly for years.
Elliot, before I ask you a question, I want to play that sound that Evan was just talking about. Take a listen.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Elliot, you used to work for the Justice Department. An Attorney General is saying that, and then a memo like this coming into the public sphere. What does it tell you about what happened here?
It's embarrassing what happened here, Phil. Look, the Attorney General, and this is to Evan's point a moment ago, sort of fanned the flames of these truly bonkers, I won't say the full word, conspiracy theories that have been allowed to infiltrate not just American life, but also the government at the highest levels. There are basic facts here that we ought to accept. Number one, Jeffrey Epstein did really bad things to many people. And number two, Jeffrey Epstein killed himself in prison before he could face trial. Those are facts. That is truth. Any suggestion to the contrary is simply not held by serious people. And the Attorney General herself, quite frankly, is responsible for allowing some of this nonsense to get out there. Now, thankfully, the Justice Department has put this memorandum out there, but this is just a bad look for the Justice Department. It's actually quite shameful.
Elliot, is it normal for DOJ to release a memo like this?
It really isn't, Phil, only because the memorandum is really pushing back against conspiracy theories. It's not explaining why someone wasn't charged with a crime or explaining why someone was charged with a crime or explaining the facts of the case. It is merely put out there to debunk some of this nonsense that the Attorney General actually helped fan the flames up by handing these memos out, these binders out at the White House and so on. So no, it is not common at all. Certainly the Justice Department makes public statements all the time. They make public statements to our reporters like Evan Perez, and that's fine. But pushing back on conspiracy theories is not a core competency of any member of the Justice Department, and quite frankly, it should not be.
Evan, real quick before I let you go, any repercussions for the Attorney General on this?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can see people on the right, including Lara Loomer, she's calling for the Attorney General to be fired. This is not over because the fact that these documents are not out means that these conspiracies will live on.
Elliot, to your point, have you seen, I don't know, I'm sort of like befuddled that we're in this place, but it's a very real thing. Does this put an end to it? Do you think it works, or is this just spawn news theories?
No, I don't think it is. And to be clear, I've been quite critical of the Attorney General here for the last few minutes. This is far bigger than that, and this is America and its willingness to accept lies on the internet and false conspiracy theories. This is why people sort of don't trust institutions generally. There's all kinds of research on this right now, but this is really the internet and falsehoods and lies that are out there. People have bought into this. Look, not far from my home where I'm sitting right now, a guy showed up at a pizza place thinking that there was a child sex ring held there because of this kind of nonsense that's on the internet. This whole Jeffrey Epstein story fits perfectly into that. So no, I don't think this is the end of it. I think it's corrosive to us in the media who speak about these issues and try to present some measure of truth. But no, I do not, sadly, think this is the end of any of this.
Evan Perez, Elliot Williams, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. My thanks also to my panel. Jake Tapper is standing by for the lead. Jake, have a great show.
All right, thanks, Philip. Appreciate it. Welcome to the lead. I'm Jake Tapper.
This is CNN Breaking News.
And we are going to start with breaking news in our national lead and the urgent search for at least 24 missing people, almost half of them children, which is underway right now in parts of Texas after catastrophic flooding killed at least 95 people over the July 4th holiday weekend. The search effort entering day 4 as the region faces yet another flood threat. A level 3 of 4 flooding rainfall is in effect for parts of central Texas, including hard-hit Kerr County. Kerr County, of course, home to Camp Mystic, the all-girls Christian summer camp that sat along the Guadalupe River, where floodwaters rose unusually rapidly, tragically rapidly, before dawn on Friday morning. In a devastating update today, the camp confirmed that 27 campers and counselors died in the floods, and 10 campers and 1 counselor remain unaccounted for. This is one of them. 8-year-old Hadley Hannah, one of the girls who tragically did not survive. This was her very first year at camp. A family statement to CNN describing her loss as causing the family, quote, unimaginable grief. The U.S. Coast Guard assisted with some of the rescues at Camp Mystic and elsewhere. One heroic officer helped rescue more than 160 campers. He spoke with CNN earlier today.
It was pretty traumatic. I mean, yeah, you have a lot of kids. They're having probably the worst day of their life. They're missing friends. They're missing loved ones. I was really just trying to comfort them and let them know, like, hey, like, I don't know where your friends may be right now, but my only objective is to get you guys out of here and get you guys to safety. I'm sorry this happened to you guys, but you guys were so brave and tough, and it made me like a better rescuer because you guys were acting so bravely.
You're looking right now at video of a young woman clinging to a tree after being separated from her family during a camping trip along the Guadalupe River. She had been swept away by floodwaters and was in the water for about 4 hours before pulling herself onto that tree, where rescuers thankfully found her. So much bravery on display from rescuers and the Coast Guard, camp counselors, and young campers. It's imperative, of course, for the sake of the survivors and for the families who will never again get to hug those loved ones, that we as an American community try to understand what, if anything, might have contributed in any way to these flooding deaths. Some locals are asking questions about the warning systems in some of the areas affected, including Kerr County, which has seen the vast majority of fatalities, 75 fatalities. The county does not have an early warning system with emergency sirens, and the mayor of Kerrville today told CNN that he did not personally get an emergency alert on his phone.
Everyone here, if we could have warned them, we would have done so. And we didn't even have a warning.
We get alerts on floods fairly often because of the terrain here.
And did you get an alert on your phone in those overnight hours?
I did not.
Does that concern you?
Yes.
The mayor there talking to CNN's Pamela Brown, who as a kid herself went to that camp. The warning coordination meteorologist, that's a top 3 leadership role. That position at the National Weather Service's San Antonio office has been vacant since April 30th, when he accepted a Trump buyout offer to slim the size of government. And currently, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer has asked the Department of Commerce's acting inspector general to investigate whether that or any other staffing vacancies in any way contributed to any of the issues in forecasting or to coordinating the warnings. The White House today said Senator Schumer and other Democrats are blaming President Trump, calling it, quote, a depraved lie. President Trump is making plans to visit Texas on Friday. Authorities in Kendall County, Texas, are currently holding a news conference about the flooding catastrophe. Let's listen in.
Thank you to our first responders for their selfless actions in rescue and recovery operations, risking their own safety to save lives. To Brady Constantine, our emergency management coordinator, for his leadership and rapid activation of our emergency operation center, ensuring timely coordination of resources. To our road and bridge crews, for working around the clock in dangerous conditions to restore safe passage, assess storm damage, and place protective barricades to protect our citizens. To our county employees, many of whom spent their time over the holiday weekend to answer phone, draft emergency declarations, and assist behind the scenes. And lastly, to our community partners, state agencies, the game wardens, and our federal responders for their collaboration, their resources, and critical support during this emergency response. This flood tested us, but it also reminded us of who we are. In the face of adversity, Kendall County came together. Neighbors helped neighbors, strangers became rescuers, and our sense of community shined through even the darkest storm. As the recovery process continues, Kendall County leadership is focused on long-term support, rebuilding, and helping residents recover and heal. We still have work ahead, but I have no doubt that we will move forward together, stronger and more united than ever before. I would like to introduce Brady Constantine, our emergency management coordinator, to talk about our response efforts. Brady?
Good afternoon, everyone. Brady Constantine, Kendall County, Office of Emergency Management. The Emergency Operations Center was activated on July 4th at 6:37 a.m. Although there have been 6 recoveries, there are no confirmed missing Kendall County residents as of today. Identification is pending on the 6 individuals recovered. Right now, our focus is on search, rescue, and recovery. Going forward, we will evaluate those needs and activities within Kendall County on a day-to-day basis. The Emergency Operations Center will remain in operation as long as is needed, and we appreciate our partnership with state and local officials who continue to serve alongside our personnel. Any new updates will be available by 4 p.m. daily on the Kendall County Office of Emergency Management Facebook page. And that's all I have for today. I'll now turn it over to Bernie Assistant Fire Chief Walter Ball to provide an update on water rescue operations since July 4th. Chief.
Thank you. The Bernie Fire Department, in coordination with the Kendall County Office of Emergency Management, has helped in multiple aspects of the Joint Emergency Operations Center hosted here at the Bernie Police Department. In the early mornings of July 4th, 2 Spec Op boat teams from the Bernie Fire Department were sent to the Comfort area and effected a total of 8 rescues and multiple evacuations. Additionally, in the subsequent days, the same boat crews assisted Bandera Electric with restoring power by stretching lines across the flooded waters. Bernie Fire continues to support the Comfort area with a 4-person Type 1 engine crew, effecting search and rescue and daily operations for the Comfort Fire Department. Those seeking assistance in the Kendall County area may reach out to the Hill Country Family Services, and their information may be found on the city and county Facebook pages. At this time, this concludes today's press briefing. Thank you.
All right, let's break away from that press conference out of Kendall County and go to CNN's Boris Sanchez, who's in Kerrville, Texas, and neighboring Kerr County. Boris, tell us what you're seeing on the ground and what you're hearing from residents there.
Yeah, Jake, it's very difficult to put into context just the scale of the devastation here. We're standing in a park in Kerrville. This is just downstream from Camp Mystic in Hunt, Texas. This is on the banks of the Guadalupe River, and I just want you to look around and see just the amount of devastation, the amount of detritus. If you look up, you can see how high this wall of water went, more than 20 feet up. You see clothing strewn about, carpets, bed sheets, what appear to be children's toys, as well as clothing, these fragments of people's lives just tossed about. And these are massive cypress trees here that just got tossed about. This wall of water coming very rapidly. In a matter of hours, you had months of rain coming down in this area, even sweeping people miles and miles downstream. And it's difficult to try to figure out where people might have gone, if there are folks that are still alive, if perhaps there are bodies candidly under piles and piles of debris. Here you see a crew working right now to open up this bridge where the water just slammed what I imagine are thousands, if not tens of thousands of pounds of just detritus and debris over that bridge. That's about 10 to 15 feet up. So you can imagine what it was like for people waking up in the early morning hours of the 4th of July to raging floodwaters. I do also want to point out, as you asked, what it's like here in the community. A lot of folks are trying to lend a helping hand, almost too many. We heard from officials today who said that volunteers needed to heed warnings about potentially getting in the way of the work that officials are doing to try and rescue folks, to try to recover folks. I quickly want to point up, I'm not sure if you're able to see it from here, but there are folks up there, volunteers that were helping shovel out debris to get it out of the way to open up this area. It is going to be a long and difficult process to return Central Texas to what it once was. And part of that, Jake, is helping mend the broken hearts of folks who still have people missing out there. As you noted, at least 24 still unaccounted for.
All right, Boris Sanchez in Kerrville, Texas, the site of so much pain. Thank you so much. We're learning more about the National Weather Service warnings and how alerts went out. CNN's Isabel Rosales takes a closer look at that part of the story.
Texas is grieving right now.
Grieving and bracing for more rain as urgent rescues are still underway for dozens who are missing after the devastating floods that ravaged Central Texas over the holiday weekend, bursting the seams of the Guadalupe River and taking the lives of at least 95 people, including 27 campers and counselors from a summer camp in Kerr County.
There's still 10 girls and 1 counselor from Camp Mystic that are unaccounted for. And the pain and agony of not knowing your child's whereabouts, it's the worst thing imaginable.
4 months of rain fell in a matter of hours. The destructive and fast-moving floodwater beginning just before sunrise on the 4th of July. And many are asking why alerts weren't received and evacuations didn't take place.
Well, evacuation is a delicate balance because if you evacuate too late, you then risk putting buses, or cars or vehicles or campers on roads into low water areas trying to get them out, which then can make it even more challenging because these flash floods happen very quickly. It's very tough to make those calls because what we also don't want to do is cry wolf.
But many families wishing they had taken that chance. The timeline as we know it now. The first flood watch was issued on Thursday in the afternoon and in the early evening at 6:30 Central Time. Then the first emergency alert came out at 1:14 the morning of the 4th, and then again at 4:03 in the morning, just an hour before the river burst at around 5 in the morning. Then a second emergency alert was issued for Kerrville at 5:24 a.m., and then at 5:34 an emergency alert was issued for the Guadalupe River area. But phone alerts were reportedly not received by some people in an area known to have spotty cell service. 19 different local and state agencies are working urgently to find those still missing before the next deluge of expected rainfall, including many who have come out to volunteer in search.
I figured I can at least come and help relieve them of some stress and exhaustion. Now, I know that up towards Hunt and everything, they're still expecting possibly more storm surges, so we have to be
That's a big problem.
Yeah, and we have to be on the lookout for that too.
And why officials are asking volunteers to stay out of the way.
Because if we start getting weather reports and all, and all the other complications that are out there, we then have to pull off of those search and rescue missions to be able to communicate to those volunteers to get off, to make sure that they don't become victims themselves.
Jake, the way that one volunteer put it to me is you're searching for something you hope you don't find, but they recognize that this work is so important to give those families closure. And they're working from sunrise to sunset. You can see the heavy machinery, and they're bringing all of this debris, those heavy cypress trees, getting it out of the way. And over here, you see that smokestack, that's where they're burning it. They're making their way up toward the Guadalupe River, north, upriver, and all the tributaries and all the bodies of water that span out of it like a spider web. They want people to know that this is going to be a slow and grueling process. It's going to take time, Jake.
Isabel Rosales in Center Point, Texas. Thank you so much. The numbers are horrible enough, but every one of them obviously signifies a life cut short, a promise unfulfilled, a family, friends broken and mourning. And in this story, so many of these lives so young, so tragically, awfully young. Blair and Brooke Harbor, 13 and 11-year-old sisters, went missing during the flooding along with their grandparents. Their father confirmed his daughter's deaths, telling CNN that Blair was a gifted student who had a generous and kind heart. He described Brooke as a light in any room. People gravitated to her, and she made them laugh and enjoy the moment. Their aunt tells the Houston Chronicle that their bodies were found holding hands. Their grandparents have not yet been located. We already mentioned in the show 8-year-old Hadley Hanna. This was her very first year at Camp Mystic. Her mother says she seemed to be loving camp. She too died in the flood. Her mother says Hadley was the most joyful, happy kid with a smile on her face. The mother of Camp Mystic camper Janie Hunt told CNN in a message Saturday morning that her daughter had passed away. Janie was 9 years old. Jane Ragsdale was the founder, co-owner, and quote, heart and soul of a different all-girls camp. This is Heart of the Hills in Hunt, Texas. A statement from the camp announcing her death in the flood says that Ragsdale, quoting again, quote, influenced countless lives and was the definition of strong and powerful. Most of the flood victims were not at Camp Mystic. Dr. Catherine Eads' daughter tells CNN her mother, quote, lived a fulfilling life, cut far too short. She was an incredible wife, daughter, mother, grandmother, and person who spent her life helping kids. Then there's the story of Julian Ryan. Julian was home with his fiance and family in Ingram, Texas, when the flood engulfed their home. He punched out a window so the family could climb onto the roof. And in the process, he severed an artery in his arm. Emergency workers could not get to the home in time. He bled to death.
He looked at me and the kids and my mother-in-law, and he was like, sorry, I'm not going to make it. I love y'all.
He died a hero, and that will never gone unnoticed.
Some of the areas of Texas hardest hit by the floods. We'll be right back.